Hey, fight fans, it's Dr. Don Four here. I want to talk to you about marrying up your research questions, your hypothesis, and your variables, and then connecting them to your literature review so that you find the studies that you need to support the research that you're doing. And it's one of the hardest things that students have to do is make sure that their research questions turns into measurable hypothesis, produces variables that you're going to research through your literature review to find studies to support what you're trying to accomplish in your research. And so I want to take you through just a couple minutes and let's see see if I can show you some examples that might help you out. Okay, it's critical that the research questions track to the hypothesis variables in the literature review. If you send me a literature review, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to your chapter 1 and I want to first read your research questions, okay? I want then to look at your hypothesis and see if they support your research questions. Each research question or questions should be supported by a hypothesis. Then I'm going to pull variables from there that support research question and the hypothesis. Like if you're talking about job satisfaction or commitment, I want to make sure that your variables are job satisfaction and or commitment. And then the literature review should be looking at job satisfaction or commitment and then tying the two together. So I start out, I've got a few examples here, but if you look at this one, this is a common topic. A lot of people are studying this today because technology is so prevalent in the world. So how does technological acceptance affect employee attitude toward job satisfaction? Good research question. Okay. The second research question, how does technological acceptance affect employee attitude toward organizational commitment? Another good research question. Now we need to turn those into measurable hypothesis. Okay, so research question 1, when you convert it to a hypothesis, is an individual's acceptance of technological change is positively related to their satisfaction with the job. Okay, so measurable, looking at the same variables. I've underlined the variables here so you can see that. The second hypothesis, an individual acceptance of technological change is positively related to their commitment to the organization. So the variables that they're looking at are technological acceptance of change, employee attitude, job satisfaction, and organizational commitment. That's what your literature review should be written on. So unauthorized use of an unmanned operation, drone, whatever you want to call it. Are existing FAA policies effective in preserving aviation safety by reducing the number of unauthorized UAS operations in the national airspace system? That's the research question. Now, there's only one research question, but they turned it into two hypothesis, which is perfectly fine. The implementation of CRA Part 107, which is a policy, has resulted in a significant reduction in the number of unauthorized UAS flight operations. Very measurable. Good hypothesis supports the research question. The implementation of FAA UAS registration program has resulted in significant reduction in the number of unauthorized UAS flight operations. And then they are looking for literature on FAA policies, unauthorized operations, and aviation safety. Ground air data link communication. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. You can read this, but you can see that they have 3 research questions and 3 hypotheses, and the underlying variables are listed in both of them. And then down at the bottom, the variables for their literature review: ground air data link communication system, the pilot workload, situational awareness, and flight preference. Runway incursions. Is there a correlation between airport design, specifically airfield layout, and runway incursions? Okay. Turn that into a hypothesis. Hypothesis 1. There is a significant difference between airports with similar runway layouts and the number of annual runway incursions over a 3-year period that occur at most airports compared with airports of a different runway layout over the same 3-year period. So that's more extensive hypothesis and breaks it down into some moderating issues, and that's perfectly okay. They're looking for variables, the airport design, runway incursion, and runway hotspots. So I'm hoping this is helping you, and I'm going to go back to little bit of org behavior here. Let's talk about emotional intelligence. To what degree is there a difference in emotional intelligence for males versus females? Then, and what degree does gender affect leadership style? Okay, so there's two different hypotheses. There will not be a statistically significant difference between total scores of emotional intelligence for males versus females. They're down at the bottom. They're looking at emotional intelligence, gender, and leadership styles. Job satisfaction: to what extent will a corporate information technology IT employee demonstrate job satisfaction? And then this one got a little bit even more measurable. 75% of corporate IT employees will reflect positive job satisfaction. And it talks about outsourced employees. So the three different variables that they're going to look for: job satisfaction, information technology employee, and outsourced IT employees. To what work-family conflict? To what extent does work-family conflict and family-work conflict affect the individual's emotional state, job satisfaction, family satisfaction, and family demands? And so they combine those together a little bit. More than 75% of individuals working in the restaurant industry experience emotional exhaustion due to work-family conflict. So they explained emotional exhaustion down here as combining all those areas together, but they came up with a good hypothesis that measures it. And then they're looking at several different variables. So you see, they all have to match, or your research is not going to answer the questions that you want it to answer. So this is Dr. Don Four. This is one more step in the research process. It's just a little thing that might help you, but make sure as you're writing your paper, you're thinking along these lines. It makes your paper better, makes it a whole lot easier for you to get to the end goal that you want to get to. And I look forward to reading your literature reviews. So you have a good day. Thank you very much.